Hey everyone, Revan here, and welcome back to Feed the Beast University, where today we're continuing on with blood magic. So sit back, enjoy the video, and let's see what we can't get done. So as you may have noticed, I have done a little bit of upgrading to our blood altar here. I have it almost all set up to be a level 5. Currently it's still a level 3 because we are missing these blocks right here, which I think are going to be the blood bricks. At least that's what I'm hoping for. It's pretty much the only red brick that I can think of that's going to go on top of here. So yeah, we gotta get these guys done. But in order for us to get them, we actually need to get these weak blood shards, which are dropped from mods when we're using a bound sword, or I'm sorry, a bound blade. So the first thing that we have to do this episode is actually get into the bound blade, which is going to use another one of our arcane alchemy arrays here. So with this one, we're going to need binding regent and a diamond sword. The diamond sword, easy day. The binding regent is actually, it's not too bad. So it's just going to be some glowstone, redstone, gunpowder, and gold ingots. All right, so we need some redstone, and we'll just toss one of each of these guys in here, along with our petty tartaric gem here. And this is not working because it looks at a minimum we need a common tartaric gem here. So let's see how we make one of these. All right, so for the common, we'll add that on there. We're gonna actually have to make a lesser first. So we're gonna need a petty, a diamond, block of redstone, and a block of lapis. Then we'll just take one of these petty ones that we actually made up here real quick. And I thought I had some diamonds in there. Apparently I do not. There we go. Just take all this good stuff off and toss you in, and that should... All right, there we go. Actually needed more will. This thing needs to have the petty tartaric actually needs to have a minimum of 60 will in it before it will craft it. I don't think that means it's going to use all 60 of the will. I think that just it is the minimum requirement for it. So we now have a lesser, and I'm trying to remember if I can put the petty inside of the lesser here. Like if I toss this down, nope, that will not transfer. So I thought there was a way to transfer will into new gems, but I'm gonna have to look that up. For now, we're just gonna have to, I guess, turn this guy on and collect us up a bunch more will here because we are gonna need it. So with that, we're also going to need to make, I think we needed iron swords. There we go. We'll just fill this guy up with swords. And then this one's almost done for, so we'll just let it get its full use and then we'll use it. All right, so I think we should be pretty much ready here. I just need to make I needed to make another one of these petty tartarics here. And I'm sorry, I need to make another one of the lesser tartarics before I can actually move up to the common. So this does get a little bit repetitive here because this guy, right? So I'll toss this lesser in, but I need to have a minimum of 250 will inside of my lesser tartaric to actually make the common. And then in order to make the bound blade or the binding regent, I need to have a minimum of 400 will in there. So you kind of have to, when you're making things, you have to make pretty much 2 of everything. Otherwise, yeah, stuff and things happen. So this is just going to be a block of gold, a lesser tartaric diamond, and an imbued slate, which is like a tier 3 slate. And we now have our common tartaric gem. And I really wish I could remember how to transfer the will over. I know that there is a way. At least I'm almost sure that there's a way. I just need to actually figure it out here. But until we get that figured out, we are essentially just going to have to let this guy run until we can get up to 400 demonic will inside of this common tartaric gem. And at that point in time, we can actually use the Hellforge to create the common tartaric. So I'm going to kind of go through the mod pack a little bit and see if I can't figure something out. If not, I'm just going to have to wait until we have enough will. All right, so I did figure it out. There is a way to do it. So when you have a gem, if you shift right click it and hold that down, it will actually transfer to another gem that you have in your inventory. The only thing is you have to be careful that you only have the gem that you want to transfer into in your inventory, because if you have other ones, it'll just kind of do like some random transfer. So if we shift right click, as you can see, our petty Tartaric just drained, and it transferred that over into the common Tartaric. So now we just need to accumulate about another 100 or so, a little bit over 100 will here into this guy, and then we'll be ready to make the binding agent, or binding regent. So I'll be back as soon as I get this over, which shouldn't take too long. We have plenty of will. It's just a matter of transferring it. All right, so we have all of the will that we need. So let's just kind of come back over here and craft up this regent. Now this regent, although it takes 400, again, it's only going to drain 10 will. So that is the thing. And then the bound blade, we're going to need a diamond sword and our arcane. So the arcane ash we have over here, and diamond sword is an easy day. There we go. We'll just set these guys up. So same thing as always, you just hit the ground with the arcane ash, hit it with the regent, and then hit it with the actual catalyst there. So this one is going to be a little bit more spectacular, so it's always smart to stand back. But after a bunch of lightning hits, we should get our bound blade. There it is. So when you get it, it looks like a shovel, right? So if you shift right click, it actually becomes a blade. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to link to your network, to your blood network, which you can fill up with your magician's orb or whatever blood orb that you have. And every time we utilize this sword to attack, it's going to drain a little bit of the life force or life essence from that. So what we need to do now is come over here and turn you off, and we want to pick this guy up real quick just so that we don't lose anything. And then we just take this and dispose of some of these mods here. There we go. And from the mobs, we are now going to be getting these weak blood shards, and the weak blood shards are what I need in order to make these bloodstones. So I just need some stone and the weak blood shards, and I can actually finish up this altar and take it from a tier 3 all the way down to a tier 5. So we only needed one of the bloodstones because these are all going to combine into those guys right there. And just to be safe, we are going to throw the blood shard onto this filter, so when we put it back on, we don't have any issues with using the bound blade in the future here. So I'm always double and triple checking our filters because I've had times before where it just kind of deleted it. But we'll turn you back to on so that you can go back to collecting will, because we're always going to need that. And let's grab our divination sigil, and just to verify, we are currently at a tier 3 altar. And once I place these blocks over here, that should... Yep, it's now a tier 5 altar. So I can now put runes across all of these guys over here and on this level, and do things like increase the capacity so I can hold more than 10,000 LP, make it faster, make the sacrifice better, and all of that. Because some of the higher level things that you're gonna need, like I mentioned before, you're gonna need more than 10,000 LP. So it really behooves you to get into getting up to the tier 5 and then really concentrating on maxing out your capacity. So speaking of runes, obviously we have the speed rune, which we currently have 8 of them on here, so that it makes the slates a little bit quicker. We don't have any runes of the sacrifice just yet. We will once we actually get into making the Well of Suffering here. We have a bunch of the self-sacrifice ones on there, but runes of capacity is what we're going to want to get into next time. or I shouldn't say next time, but next. And I'm not sure what the augmented capacity is. I think that allows us to use like blood tanks and stuff like that on the altar. This thing gets pretty, how do I want to say this? Blood magic can get pretty in depth with what you want to do on it. Like you can make these altars pretty OP so that you can just pretty much craft whatever you want at any given time and almost have it fully automated, to the point where actually I think you could fully automate this if you wanted to hook you know, an interface up to it with a bunch of patterns. But let's actually see what is next in our quest line here. So I thought we made this guy. Apparently not. What were we missing? Oh yeah, we were missing a blank slate. So we now have that done, so we can toss this back in. Again, this is just going to give us more LP, but we don't really need that right now. I shouldn't say it gives us more LP. We can store LP in it, kind of like a blood orb, and then just toss it in there. As far as the upgrades, we can do tier 3 and tier 4, but we're going to need the slates for it. So let's actually make a couple runes of capacity here. Currently, all we can make is 2, since that's all the slates that we have. But we can just take these guys, and for now, we'll just toss them right here. So as you remember before, we had 10,000 LP. If we look at this now, we now have 4,000 life essence, or you know, blood, or whatever you want to call it, that we can actually hold. So that is what the runes of capacity do. So the next tier is going to be augmented capacity and everything like that. These guys, we actually need runes of capacity and demonic slates, which we're not up to yet. The demonic slates are the imbued slates, but I'm gonna be honest, I haven't gotten up to imbued slates yet. I only had a couple just because I messed up the recipe for the reinforced slates. So I'm probably gonna do that later this evening. I'll just let it run through and do up a bunch of reinforced and imbued, and then some demonics, and at least try to get like a stack of each or something like that. But that's going to take quite some time. We also have these sigils, which I don't think we really need any of them. However, we do need to make some of them. Sigil of the fast miner. So I think that's a good one that we work towards. We're gonna need a reinforced slate and mining regent, which is actually, that's doable. So axe, pickaxe, shovel, and gunpowder. So we'll just toss all this in and just toss it in with our common sense. It doesn't matter. As long as you have the base amount of will, it doesn't matter which gem you're actually using. So we now have the regent. So now we just need a reinforced slate, which we can grab right here. And just grab our arcane ash again. So toss you down, regent, catalyst, do your thing. Here we go. We have our sigil of fast miner, and not sure if that's really going to make any difference for us here, since this pickaxe is already, you know, pretty OP. But we currently have it. So we have completed the tier 2 sigils, and then the next thing is a potion flask. It can be filled with several potions, which each can be drank 8 times. So this is going to be something like if you want like temporary speed or strength or regen or anything like that. So we can do that at a later point. The alchemy table allows you to craft things using LP from your blood orb. A lot of these items are necessary for progression and can only be crafted here. All right, so we'll add that and we'll make this guy up. A lot of this stuff we won't really need in the early stages of blood magic, but we will as we progress on. This thing is kind of weird to actually put down. So if I'm faced this way and put it down, it faces like in a horizontal vertical line. Get away from me. So if I want it to face horizontal to whatever it is or parallel to whatever I want, I actually have to face in the other direction. So like here, if I wanted to actually face outwards of the altar, I'd have to set it down like that. And this is what it looks like. We have to place a blood orb in there to actually fuel things. and I'm not 100% sure what that is, but I'm sure the pack will tell us as we get into it. And we get some cutting fluid from this. Okay. We can use this 16 times, so we'll hold on to that. And we can get rid of the sigil fast miner. So the next thing it wants us to get into here is actually partially is the living armor. Now the living armor, it can be pretty OP if you take it all the way up to the top levels. I don't think we're going to do that because of the fact that one, it's not going to be better than the armor that we already have. But some of the things, like this was the armor that I mentioned before that you can get like an additional 20 hearts on, and you know, some regen and stuff like that. So if you don't have something like environmental tech where you don't have the nano beacons and stuff, and you're kind of limited on the armor choices, it's a good armor choice because it will beef you up quite significantly. And especially if it's a very hard, why are you not picking stuff up? Very hard, I lost my train of thought. Very blood magic orientated pack. You know, it might be something that's, you know, very much so worth getting into and actually taking it all the way up there. So, but in order for us to get that, this is again all going to be coming from the arcane. It's going to take a while for us to get there because we need to get binding regents for each piece of armor, and it wants us to make all 4, and then the same thing for the tools. It wants us to make here a bound pickaxe, which will kind of act the same thing. See, it says draining 20 LP every 4 seconds is active. So it's one of those items like this that I really shouldn't have active if I don't want it to be. So another thing that we need to get into is this demonic crucible. So demonic crucible, it says each chunk has an aura which holds up to 100 will. So that's kind of like Thaumcraft with the viz, the local viz or whatever. In this case, it's aura. This does not generate naturally, so that's the difference from Thaumcraft. You actually need to fill it up. So certain items that you're going to craft are going to need to draw aura from the atmosphere, and the only way to get aura into the atmosphere is to pump it in. And that's where this demon crucible is going to come into play. So we can either load it up with will itself, or we can load it up with a Tartaric gem, and it will like I said, it will only affect the chunks that it's in. So let's make sure that we have this guy on here. We're going to need a cauldron, some stone, a diamond, and lapis. And one of these days, I'm really going to have to work to making this place mob friendly. There are things that I can do to stop things from spawning. However, I don't know if that affects like spawners. I wouldn't think so, because spawners kind of force a spawn. It's not like it's a natural spawn or anything like that, but I just haven't gotten around to trying it. But let's toss this stuff in. I need a minimum of 400 will in our gem, which we currently have. So we have this. Now, if we do F3G to show chunks, let's say we want to do this over in this chunk over here. All right, so we are going to test this up. We're going to toss out all of this will here and fill up a little bit inside of our Tartaric gem. So that's 20. So if we right click onto the demon crucible, because it does need to be a gem, that should slowly drain and eventually put that into the atmosphere. So right now there is 20 aura in the atmosphere, in the atmosphere, 20 aura in the chunk here. So we can hold up to 100, and I'm assuming we're going to need that for other things a little bit later on. So we're going to have to stockpile a little bit of aura and get that fed into there. And we get a full lesser Tartaric gem from that. So that is awesome. We'll just take this guy and fill it up into here. But first, we're going to toss it in there, and that won't fill us up completely, but it'll get us partially the way there. We're up to 500 will in this, which I think is what we're going to need for most of the crafting recipes. All right, and the next thing is the Demon Crystallizer. So Demon Crystallizer will slowly draw will out of an aura, forming it into a Demon Will Crystal Cluster. You can mine the cluster to pick it up. However, if you have 1000 normal will in your inventory, right-clicking the cluster will move all but the main spike. Okay. So let's get this guy on. I don't know how much will it actually takes in order to fill this guy, but we can easily find that out. I'm just going to store this in here because we're going to have to add more will into that. So what do we need in order to make this? We're going to need minimum of 500 will, which is good that we have that. We're going to need a Hellfire Forge. So let's add that on there again. Some stone, glass, and lapis. All right, so let's grab our gem back again here, and we'll toss all of this in along with this, and this should make our crystallizer, which if we put in the same chunk with our crucible over there, should get us some of these crystals. And I'm assuming this is just going to take a very long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to toss my common Tartaric gem in here. It has 400 will in it. We can come back. What did I just put in there? Oh, we have a lesser that's got 100 will in it. We'll just toss you in there, I guess. But we can come back and check on this as things progress. It doesn't look like it has any animations to show that it's working or anything like that. So I'm guessing it's just going to be accumulation over time. And then if we want to make the crystallizer faster, we can actually use a demon pylon, which is going to pull will from 4 separate chunks. I don't know if you can determine which chunk that is that it's going to be pulling from, but so we could theoretically, you know, we have this chunk here. We could put another one of these demon crucibles in here, here, and here, and then just put a pylon over here. And then we could have 100 will in each chunk at any given time being loaded up with these Tartaric gems, and it would all pull it into a single chunk, and that way this demon will crystallizer would actually produce, I'm guessing, significantly faster for us. But we don't have nearly the resources for that, so we're gonna kind of hold off on that one until we can accumulate a lot more will and get a lot more gems filled up here, because I can eventually automate this. Like when we have enough will in here, I can pump this into an ender chest and then like come over into this area over here and just kind of make like a demon will shower and just have it rain down on me with a bunch of gems in my inventory and just have them completely filled up, and then, you know, we can move around to the different areas and put them in. But I also want to get chicken. I want to get up to the highest gem, which we have a ways to go here. So like, yeah, this grand Tartaric gem, we have the common, so we still have 2 more levels before we can get this guy, but this will hold significantly more will. And if we can load up 4 of these demon crucibles with those guys fully maxed out, this will last us a heck of a lot longer. And then for us to progress any further, we actually need one of these crystals to be fully grown. So this is going to have 7 spikes. As you can see right now, it has a growth of 0. And that's probably because we have no more will in the area. So we're going to have to be constantly feeding this guy and babysitting it in order for it to actually work. Because one of the things I want to get into is the essentially the gauge. This will allow us to, as long as we have it on us, it'll show us on screen how much aura is actually in an area. So it'll be a little bit easier to babysit these kind of things. But one thing that we can make real quick is we can make a master blood orb. So we need 40,000 LP for this. So you remember how I said that you need capacity runes? Well, that was why. So I'm going to have to make up a bunch more of, we'll just take a stack. We're going to have to make up a bunch more of the imbued orbs and send these guys off. So I'm going to turn you off for now. And I'm going to make up a bunch more capacity to see if we can actually get up to 40,000 in our blood altar. And then I will bring you guys back for the crafting of the next level of blood orb. All right, so the upgrades are complete. I now have, if I can find my divination sigil here, I have the capacity to hold just a little bit over 40,000 millibuckets of LP. So this is holding 42 right now. It is, or should be, pretty much full. So in order to make this blood orb that we need for the tier 4, I am going to need 40,000 LP. So if I just toss this in, it should theoretically fill up or complete. Now I will say that it always helps just to kind of sit here and babysit it and add more into the system, solely for the fact that certain things say they take X amount of LP, and for whatever reason it just seems like it takes more at times. So I never really, when I'm crafting something important that I know is going to take pretty much all of the LP that I have in the system, I tend to sit here and babysit and do that. But we now have our Master Blood Orb. I'm not sure if there's anything higher than this. Let's see. We have Masters, Archmage. I think Archmage, Archmage is the highest, but I mean, we need 80,000 for that. So we are going to need more than likely some of the augmented capacity runes so that we can have exterior blood tanks. I think it's these guys over here. Yeah, these blood tanks, and there's different tiers and everything like that, but like one of them can hold a metric ton of blood. So what I'm still not 100% sure, I have to look into, but I think what the augmented capacity does is allows you to link up one of these tanks here, and therefore, you know, that the system itself can drain LP from these tanks as opposed just from the altar itself. So that is currently what we're looking at for there. Where else we got? Tier 4 sigils. Is there anything here that we can make? Let's just check this haste one here. So we're gonna need haste regent, which isn't too difficult, and then a demonic slate, and which we should have some, because although I said, and we're right back, yeah, obviously it was a little bit longer. So let's take this and let's actually check this haste sigil out. How much is this going to require? A minimum of 1400 will. Yeah, so we can't even do that. We need to get up, increase our gems to the next level, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I am going to have to AFK here for quite some time to get all of the will that we're going to need. So although I think it's going to be a shorter episode for us, I think I'm going to call the episode here. Next episode, we will finally get into the Well of Suffering and hopefully be able to finish up the rest of the blood magic. I'm just going to have to do a lot of grinding in between now and then. So as always, hey, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It helps me out greatly. And as always, guys, till next time, stay safe, be awesome, and we'll see you in the next episode.